Hello viewers, welcome to Issues in the News on 9 News Nigeria. My name is Nsidibe, Udoette, your presenter. Issues in the News is a flagship program, and here we bring you topical and trending issues around Nigeria. With me in the studio today to discuss the topic before us, I have Mr. Michael Edem Duke, a journalist, a social entrepreneur, a Pan-African Youth Ambassador. He is also the president of Citizen Journalist Network. Mr. Duke, you're welcome to Issues on the News.
Thank you, Sibel. Thank you for having me.
All right, the topic before us today is the general election and our state of preparedness as Nigerians. Do you think we are really prepared for the forthcoming elections in 2023?
Well, I think that it is very visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that this is one election that Nigerians are really looking forward to. This is that election that we wished was tomorrow, or perhaps this night. This is one elections where, for some reasons, Nigerians think that their vote will count, and perhaps, even if their vote may or may not count, they want to exercise that franchise. This is one elections where Nigerians are ready to use their tongue to count their teeth. This is one elections that Nigerians believe that perhaps the saving grace is at the polls. This is one elections that for the first time Nigerians actually believe that the leadership of a country or a state or a federal constituency has a lot more to do with the people at the grassroots. This is an elections where Nigerians believe that they can get to exercise and articulate their deepest fears and their deepest hopes for and against any candidate. In short, this is that one elections that will mark the beginning of a new era in Nigeria. It is everywhere. It is on the news, you can hear it, you can feel it. On the streets, you can feel the pulses of people. You know, you can navigate through the mind of people, and you can sense what they are thinking. You can sense that this particular elections means much more to them. You know, before now, elections are really seen as the business of politicians, a business of the elites. But for the first time, the Nigerians now understand that without elections, you can't have governance. We can't stay as an entity, as a sovereign entity, without governance, without a government. And in a democratic dispensation, the only way you can have a government is through the elections. So if everybody on the road, we think that we want to have our interests represented at the level of government, at the level of policy making, that means we need to exercise our franchise. That's the position Nigerians have gotten to right now. And I think that we are ready to take the day.
Yeah, and in exercising that franchise, we of course we need our PVCs. But it appears that there are millions of PVCs lying uncollected. How then are we supposed to exercise that franchise that we so cry and clamor for?
See, this breed of Nigerians you're seeing 2022, this breed of Nigerians that you're seeing now, they are ready to hold everybody accountable. They are ready to hold every machinery of states. They are ready to hold every institution of government accountable. Now, as Nigerians, we have exercised the very first step towards an elections, that is registering for the PVCs. So you have seen that for the first time, Nigerians have come out to register to get their PVCs to vote. That only tells you something. Before now, people look at PVCs as methods of identification, one banking document, all manner of things, If police catch me, let me just have something to identify myself. Do you understand? But you see that it has gone beyond that. So first thing first, we should notice that there's a drop in voter apathy. So that is kudos. Now, going to the issues of PVC collections, I do not think that these Nigerians that I saw over the months, in the very short period that INEC gave for us to register and get our PVCs. Do you understand? I do not think that those Nigerians who went out of their way to register for these PVCs would, at the same time, they want to back out, go back home after all the sacrifices and not get their PVCs. No. I think that there are two things involved. Either they are not yet aware if this is, if, on the news, you find two sides of the same stories. On one account, you're finding that there are uncollected PVCs. I read in one account over 7 million.
Oh, yes.
And then I read a counter account by INEC that it is fake news, that it is untrue, that there are 7 million uncollected PVCs. So it's either that Nigerians do not yet know that these PVCs are out, which I will urge the electoral umpire, INEC in this case, to make it known, just like, there was so much investment in civil education for the PVCs in the first place. There should also be that level of education that, these PVCs are out, come and get it. And then Nigerians should not stop, because it's one thing to register for the PVC. It's another thing to come and register and collect the PVC. It's even another thing to use the PVCs. So, we take it one hurdle at a time, one step at a time. So I think we're at that point where we would urge Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, at this point, you should mean yourself well. You should be a well-meaning Nigerian, because if you do not mean yourself well at this point, I don't know who can do that for you.
The enemy of yourself.
You get so I think that as a people, we should come, and it is actually a responsibility we have as citizens. It's just that Nigeria hasn't really gotten to that point yet. But I believe that in the coming years and in the new era that we're getting into as a political entity, we're going to understand that, these elections of a thing, it's more of a civic responsibility.
It is.
It is a huge task, because you cannot separate yourself from the policies of government. You cannot separate yourself from the issues of government. You're definitely going to bear the good or the bad that comes out of these policies. And these policies are made by those that you have elected into offices. So, decide not to register for your PVC is a vote against your conscience in the first place, because you've casted a vote even though you don't have a PVC.
And refusing to go
collect it and refusing not to use it.
What of the issue of double registration?
Well, I
multiple registration. Let me even rephrase it. Multiple registration.
For the case of multiple registrations, let us not deceive ourselves. Let's not be in denial that before now there's not been issues of multiple registration and even multiple voting. The only hope is that with the introduction of these beavers that INEC is coming with as a commission, I sincerely hope and do pray that those who have multiple registrations, they'll be fished out, and then even at the point of polls, once, since it has to do with this biometric capturing and then with all of your facial identification, I hope that, when a vote is casted, when someone casts a vote, INEC is ready, to know that, this particular person has voted yes, and then vote is just one. So I hope that INEC should put this into consideration, because in the time past, it has existed. It has existed. Make no mistake.
All right, how do you envisage the credibility of INEC in the general elections coming forward?
Well, the elections hasn't taken place yet, so I cannot say if they are credible or not post-election.
So far,
so I will comment on the activity of INEC, or the body language of INEC, or the behavior of INEC. So far, so good. And I'll use two case studies. One, the registration for the CVRs, that's the PVCs. The CVR registration, that's for the PVCs, and then the Osun and Ekiti elections. So for the Osun and Ekiti elections, as much as for every competition, I'm calling an election a competition now, for everything that you have to contend and contest with, there will always be sore losers. So there will always be people who would come to complain and all of that. But generally, you would see that the atmosphere is a bit calm. We don't have so much chaos. So it means that both for those who lost and for those who won, there's this fair acceptance of the role of INEC and the results it has so far released and published. On the other hand, the idea of PVCs, INEC has invested so much. I am aware because I have been privileged to follow up on a couple of their campaigns. Personally, I have also invested a lot in making sure that in the media space we promote the civil registration. So I understand that INEC has played a key role to educate the Nigerian population concerning the serial registration so that we can get our PVCs. So by that attitude, I want to believe that the commission wants to get more people onboarded, more people into the system, more people to get to exercise their franchise. And then I also like the body language of the presidency. I must also say, yes, there seems to be that fairness. There seems to be no direct intrusion with the affairs of INEC, I must say. So I think that so far so good. INEC has conducted itself fairly well onto the polls.
That's a good one for INEC. Viewers, don't go away. We need to go on a short break now. We'll be back and then we'll continue with this very interesting topic. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Don't leave us. Welcome, viewers. We're still on Issues in the News, Abuja, 9 News. With me in the studio, I've had the pleasure of discussing with Mr. Michael Edem Duke, a Pan-African Youth Ambassador. Mr. Duke, welcome again.
Thank you very much.
All right, as Nigerians, what are you expecting from the presidential candidates in terms of governance and service delivery?
Whoa. We're expecting everything that we have not had in a lifetime as a nation. That's the funniest truth. We're in a situation where we're looking for a savior with a magic wand.
Wow.
I'm being very realistic. Of course, we're going to be realistic, and then we're also going to discuss the things that are possible and the things that are not possible. We find that generally, what the average Nigerian is looking for right now is a government, and especially as it regards the presidency, somebody that has a magic wand that can magically make the frustrations go away. Because we think that we have gotten to rock bottom. Like, we're losing breath, we're grasping for air. And yes, we're choking, and any mistake, we have gone. So we are at that point where we're looking for all in one. We're not looking for a president that has this or has that. We're not looking for either or. We're looking for all of it. We want to have
everything.
It all. Yes. We want to have it all. And you see, that is what happens when you have deprived a people for something that should be continuous for a very long time. These things that were supposed to be broken down to bits and pieces of short-term achievements, culminating into a very long-term goal, a long-term national goal. We have been starved of these things, and Nigerians, we're not blind, we're not deaf. We have eyes to see what is achievable in other climes. We have ears to hear. Those of us that have transport, we have traveled to see these things happen. We're not second-class citizens of the earth. We are as important as every other person walking the face of the earth. So as it regards what Nigerians are looking for, especially towards the presidency, there are core issues that are affecting the Nigerian man. And then these core issues, they are different from region to region, from sector to sector, from industry to industry. However, chief among these things seem to be disunity. It seems to be religious tension. It seems to be a lot of economic challenges and insecurity. So if you look at these things, there was a time where Nigerians were saying, you know what, our economy is fairly good, but we just need a president that will give us security. And there's this other time where we're saying, okay, you know what, we're secure, we just need to grow. We were looking for a president that will grow us out of our existing debts. And then we need to have more money. We need to increase our foreign reserves. We need to make more revenues, cut down on taxes, but then still generate money. But Nigeria, we've got to that point where we're looking for all of it. So I am thinking that whoever Nigerians hope to get as a president, or what Nigerians are generally looking at or looking for in a president, would be somebody who first of all would guarantee their safety, would guarantee their survival. That is the basic instinct of man. Fundamentally, we have one need. Now, before, I know in secondary school we're taught food, shelter, and all of that. But first of all, what we need is preservation. First of all, we need to survive. That's why you see countries like Russia taking on Ukraine. As much as you want to call them terrorists, President Putin will come and tell he's fighting for his sovereignty, he's fighting for the survival of his nation. Do you understand? Because that is basic, that's first and foremost. That is why, as a federal government too, Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari's federal government will not even let any form of expression that threatens the survival of the entity called Nigeria. It's because it's basic instincts. So for the Nigerian man, first thing first, insecurity. We need to feel safe. Now, I understand the place of we need...
With the issue of insecurity that you have just buttressed now, do you think people will be able to come out to vote?
Well...
Because there's this fear.
See, at some point you have to take the bull by the horn. If you feel that Nigeria is unsafe, which Nigeria is really unsafe, because if we don't tackle insecurity, even if you want to tackle other problems of economy, and then you have a lot of money, you have a lot of food. If you're not secure, where would you even start to eat the food? Is it that when you're running, you're choking on the food? And then is it when you sit down and shake your brother and say, we are not fighting, you are practicing this religion and this religion? No, you're running away. Do you understand? So at the polls, we're having a fundamental problem. For example, insecurity. And at the polls, we understand as a people that this is one of the ways to express ourselves at the polls and make sure that we get a president or a government that makes us feel safer or that ensures our safety. So I think that Nigerians would want to take that route. I think that it is a more sure way than just being relaxed. Do you understand? Security can only be provided, they say after God is political power on the face of the earth, and it is true. After God, the highest form of authority is political power. And so that means after God's security, it is the political security of government, the security of those who have put in power, the security of the policies made from those or made by those that have put in power. So I think that Nigerians would want to take the small risk. I know that before now, elections in Nigeria could be very rowdy, it could be scary, it could be very chaotic, but I think that these particular elections, Nigerians are ready to stand and defend their votes. They are willing to make their vote count because we now have come to understand that we need to sacrifice a little for the higher good. So I think that if you ask an average Nigerian, like if you ask me, which one would I choose? To risk standing on the queue for a couple of minutes or hours to cast a vote, secure the vote, and make sure that it counts for 4 years of feeling safe? I think I want to take that rope. I think I want to stand under that risk. Yes, I want to take that risk. I think it pays more. I think it makes more sense. So I think other Nigerians will want to take that road as well.
Okay, at this point in time, do you think it is necessary to play party politics or individual politics?
My dear, it is obvious. This question, Nigerians have answered it. Nobody even cares what party you're playing. Nobody cares the genealogy of your party, if it is from the days of Edem. Nobody cares. Nigerians are more interested with following a candidate that represents their best interest. I usually say this. It's very unfortunate that especially in Nigeria, politically over the world, but all around the world, but especially in Nigeria, it is funny that people think that political office is a vote into an elite class. It is a promotion. You know how that you go to school and you pass JSS1 and you write your exams and they promote you into JSS2. Okay, let me use maybe from a JSS to an SS. And then when you get to senior secondary school, you start wearing long trousers, like the school I went to. Then the junior secondary school will wear shorts. Do you understand? So it's funny that in Nigeria, it looks like
when you step into that office,
it looks like people before now, or even some people now that are running for office, they are looking at it that, this election that I'm going to is promotional exam. I should be promoted out of this particular class I am in, out of this particular subset into a higher class. Whereas, seriously, it is a vote for representation. We all
For
cannot
service.
speak at the same time. Yes.
You call
And we
for
say,
service.
I come with you, I meet you, you meet me, we meet our neighbors, and we say, you know what? Someone needs to speak. So because we do not have to be rowdy, so we are civilized and say, let one person go and speak. That is what political office is all about now. We're basically electing you and we're saying, you know what? Go and make this representation. It's like there's no food in the house. And your father comes back. And then he needs to know there's no food in the house. So your mother goes. She understands that the children have not eaten. The brothers of the husband have not eaten. The sisters of the wife have not eaten. So she goes into the closet and tells her husband that, you know what? Darling, is there any money in the house? Let us make food. That is simple. That's how it should be. And I think that for the first time, Nigerians understand it. You have somebody, or you have a friend, or you used to know somebody who was not in politics, and all of a sudden he runs an office. He has 20 cars in 2 years. Oh, he did not have money before, and you voted for him. Oh, your committee voted for him. Oh, he has 20 cars. Your committee, you are 20 people. But only him has 20. So it looks like it's a vote into the next class. Nigerians are wise now. We're not ready for that. There's no, make no mistake. This is going to be a shocker. Nigeria, our founding fathers, you know, especially in democracy, those that formulated Nigerian democracy, we made it in such a way that it's going to be a multi-party system. For a long time, we had a single party system, and at most, two-party system. See this election. Is constitution made alive. It's going to be multi-party system. At the national level, you're going to have people from all manner of parties. At the state level, you're going to have people because people are ready to vent their expressions.
So basically, you are voting individuals.
We're voting candidates. I don't know about you. I'm voting a candidate.
You're not voting party. Nigerians are not voting party.
It is party politics
my
that has kept us where we are now.
Well, Mr. Michael Edem Duke, it's been a wonderful time having you in our studio. We will have to leave it here because of time. Viewers out there, I've had with me in the studio Mr. Michael Edem Duke, a journalist, a social entrepreneur, a Pan-African Youth Ambassador. He is also the president of Citizen Journalist Network. We have done justice to that topic. At this point, we have to draw the curtains. Our numbers are displayed there on the screen and our social media handles also. Please feel free to leave a comment. It's been a wonderful time here. Thank you very much. I remain your presenter, Nsidibe, and this has been Issues in the News on 9 News Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you very much. Remain blessed.